everybody, and welcome to today's episode of This Organized Life. I'm your host, Lori Palau. So happy that you're here. I'm still recovering from this wicked flu, cold, upper respiratory thing. I hope if you are listening that you did not experience this. If you did, oh, my condolences. It was definitely it's been a doozy of a winter. And I'm really, really excited. If you're listening to this real time, it is the end of February. We have made it. We are 2/3 of the way done, right? Like if we can get through March, people, then that is like the other side of the mountain as far as I'm concerned. So we're almost there. We're almost there. In another what, like week or so, we get daylight savings time or whatever it is. So we are going to gain an hour of daylight. We're losing an hour of sleep, but we're gaining an hour of daylight, and I'm here for it. So, couple things before we get into today's episode. I know just from the start of the new year, we've gotten a lot of new people that are both subscribing to our email list, listening to the show, which welcome. I'm so excited. So if you've done one or the other, like if you're listening to the show, obviously that's great. If you are not already part of our email community, make sure that you hop on and do that. There's a link below in our show notes for you to join. And I'll tell you it's great for a couple of reasons. A, I don't spam you. I don't sell your stuff. It's just me talking. It's usually a recap of what our episode is so that you can just, get a quick overview of that. But it's also a great way for me to connect up with you when we have new things coming up, like our clutter clinic, which we're going to be talking about. I've mentioned it before and you're going to be hearing about it. But whenever we have workshops, our email list is always the first. Email and podcast are the first two places that we go. So I want to make sure if you want the link directly sent into your inbox, that is the place to go. And then the third reason is whenever there's something that might go sideways, like I love being able to communicate with you guys through podcast, but if there's some sort of tech glitch that makes that difficult, for example, like the issue that we were having with Apple a couple of weeks ago, where our episodes weren't publishing to their feed, I wouldn't be able to communicate with you and let you guys know. And we immediately sent out a link to all of our subscribers and said, hey, listen, if you listen on Apple and you don't see our show, don't worry about, or you see our show, but you don't see any new episodes of our show, don't worry. Here's what's going on. Here's some alternative places that you can go to listen to it. And it's just a way for us to connect and communicate. So if you are, and we have a lot of people that listen to the show that aren't necessarily on our email list. So please make sure that you get on that. And that way you don't have to be, out of the loop. The other thing that I was going to say is we're in the process of doing a lot of different changes to our website to enhance the user experience. I would love to know your thoughts. If there's something that you have been to our website and you're like, oh, I can't find this, or maybe you're like, I really like this, let us know. We're really, and this is informal. I'm not putting a survey out there right now, but one of the things that's really important for me as somebody who feels that the purpose of an organized life is the ease of retrieval is I want people to be able to find and have access to the information that I'm putting out there quickly and easily, because we don't have time to go through 75 different steps. So we are always in a quality control environment here. We are always reevaluating the systems, the back the back of the house systems that we use here to provide content to you, to make sure that it is easy and user friendly and you can access your stuff. And that is what we're always striving to do, is improve on that. And we're going to be putting in some added search features on our podcast page, which will allow you to have these binge-worthy kind of topic episodes. So if you're like, hey, I'm just interested in these particular topics, you can just go and search there. So let us know if there's something that you think is missing, or maybe we put something in there and you're like, this is new and it's great. We love hearing good feedback as well. So please keep us posted on that. And so there'll be more of that to come. And also for the professional organizers too, not just for people that are looking for organizing tips, but we have a whole community, and you may even be one of them. You may even be somebody that's thinking of starting a professional organizing business, or maybe you have started a professional organizing business and you're looking for like the resources that we have that are geared specifically on the professional side. And we have so many hours, we have hours and hours of content. And so we're in the process of compiling all of that into one kind of centralized place for you, so that you can go and you don't have to weed through all the other stuff to find the stuff that you're looking for. So, anyway, just wanted to kind of put that out there and let you know that that's what's going on in our world behind the scenes. But today, and this is, I think, going to be a really fun conversation, is the topic is I'm ready to get organized. Now what? And I don't know about you, but one of the things is once I put my mind to do something, that could be I'm going to give up, you know, a certain food, or I'm going to start exercising, or I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to, some people like to give up drinking. I have not done that, but whatever your thing is, um, the next question is always great. Now what? Like, you've made that commitment, you've made the decision that you're going to want to make this change, but now we have to actually like put our money where our mouth is and make it happen. And so today we're going to talk about, okay, what are 10 things that you can do at once you have finally made the decision that you are ready to get organized. So we're going to hop through them. Okay. Number one, and some of these might be a little cheesy, but you know what? I'm going to tell you right now, they all have value. So number one, and I'm saying the cheesy part because I would be inserting the eye roll if I were on the receiving end of listening to this episode. It is celebrating the decision to start. And it's like, yeah. But no, I'm here to tell you in all seriousness, I think you need to take a minute, take a beat, and give yourself props, because the fact that you have recognized that there's a problem that you want to solve, or something in your life that you want to improve on, or remove the things that aren't like serving you well, I think that is a big decision to be made. And so taking a minute to acknowledge that and the impact that that's going to have not only on your space, but on your stress level, in the ease of your daily life, in your relationships, like that is a big thing. So it's not just about organizing your stuff or decluttering your stuff. It's about how is this going to impact all the other parts of my life, and knowing that it will, that it is a ripple effect. When you start to make positive changes in one area of your life, it feeds off of it into other areas of your life. That is like a proven fact. I didn't create the scientific fact, but I know it's a fact out there, and I don't have a source to cite it, but I'm telling you it's true. So number one, celebrate the decision to start. Number two, and this is really important, is I want you to clarify what are your biggest pain points, right? Which things are driving me crazy the most, right? And I talk about this all the time when clients will call me, and usually by the time I get a phone call, people are at their wits' end, because people are like, I've tripped over one too many toys. I can't, I've been living in this chaos long enough, and it is, the straw that broke the camel's back, death by 1,000 cuts, all those things. And when you finally are like, okay, I'm going to like wave the white flag for help, it's because more than one thing has it's been a compound effect. And so it can oftentimes be hard to kind of take that step back and say, okay, I know I'm like overwhelmed right now, but what areas in particular, where do I want to start first? Where's my biggest pain point? And that really is going to be pivotal for you as you start embarking on this, because so many people are like, I'm just overwhelmed everywhere. My entire life is a dumpster fire. I it's this space over here, it's this space over here, it's this part of my life over here. I can't meal prep, I can't do this, I can't do that. And you don't even know where to look first. So think about what is driving you the most crazy. And I know that that's, again, a loaded question because it depends on the minute if you're like me. But if you can reframe it to thinking about, if I fix this, it's going to make the biggest impact on my daily life, and figure out what that is. I want to make the biggest impact. And so for some people, that might be meal prep. For other people, it might be getting dressed in the morning. For other people, it could be laundry. Whatever the situation is, there's a million different things. Think about what is going to make the biggest impact in my life, and then start with that problem. Okay. Number 3, and this is, again, one of those where I feel like I'm stating the obvious, but it bears repeating: to declutter before you organize. Decluttering is always the first step before you organize. Once you are fully decluttered, then it makes sense to organize. But otherwise, you're organizing your junk, you're organizing your clutter. And that is just a waste of time, energy, and resources. You're buying stuff that you don't probably doesn't even might not even fit the needs of your space or the volume of the stuff that you have, because half the things that you might be trying to store are stuff that you don't even use. So before you spend money on a renovation, like a closet reno, or buying all new fill in the blanks, let's remove the unwanted first. And that is the not fun part, right? Like the decluttering part. I enjoy it, but for most people, this is the part that is the drag. The organizing, I like to think of that as the reward. That's the cherry on the sundae. We get to do the fun stuff, but first we need to declutter. And if you are, a lot of times people find that if they just start, they've I don't want to say failed, but they've gotten frustrated before, because all they're really doing is reorganizing their clutter. And we don't want you to do that. And if you're not sure, a lot of times people put off the decluttering is because they don't know where. And we've talked about this in the book and all the different things. And we're going to be walking through this again in our Clutter Clinic workshop series. But just some basic kind of filters that you can ask yourself is, do I use it? Do I love it? Does it serve me a purpose? Would I buy it again? Those are just some basic questions that you want to ask. I'm not a Marie Kondo person. I'm not somebody that just says, if it brings me joy. If that works for you, great. I always said there's a lot of things that are in my home that do not bring me joy. I said my kids' lacrosse sticks never brought me joy, but we needed to find a home for them when she was living at home playing lacrosse. Paying bills don't necessarily bring me joy, but I still need to have a command center in my kitchen to store paperwork. So there are things that we need to have in our house that might not bring us joy. But the other things, when it comes to that emotional clutter, yes, you're going to ask those questions. But I think, again, do I use it? Do I love it? Would I buy it again? Those are 3 questions, right? If I didn't have this, would I go out and rebuy it? Those are very important questions. So that's the third thing. Now, number 4, also, again, most of these are things that I've talked about before, guys. So if you're a longtime listener, this is just a refresher. Number 4 is start small. So a lot of times, kind of going back to number 2, when we talked about clarifying your biggest pain points, where people are like, my whole house is a mess. We oftentimes just have the urge to just start tearing everything up at once. And before you know it, that just never ends well for a variety of reasons. First of all, our attention can't be focused in more places than one. Our energy level, it's too overwhelming. Spaces get clouded and our brains get cluttered. And then we wind up just saying, forget it, and getting frustrated and jumping ship. So do not attempt to declutter and organize your house in a weekend, right? That's a lot. I would much rather see you picking a space and chipping away a little bit at a time. And even if you're like, hey, I want to spend a Saturday doing something, be focused in one area. Pick one room, pick one space. This morning, and this is a true story, right before I hit record, or not right before, but like an hour before I came up here to record, I went downstairs and I was looking for something in one of our drawers, and I just felt it looked cluttered, and it'd been a minute, and I went to look for what I was looking for, and I wound up taking everything out of the drawer. There was like all these crumbs in the drawer, because God only knows how crumbs end up in the drawer, but they do. So I Clorox wiped, cleaned it all out. And I spent about, I don't know, 20 minutes going through. There were some things, not a ton, because I don't have a ton of excess, but there were some things that were trash that I was able to just get rid of. There were other things I was like, this doesn't belong in this drawer. How did this end up here? I put that in the relocate pile. And then I kind of zhuzhed the drawer, put all the components back in, and organized it. And it was done. And like I said, it took me 20 minutes. And I feel so much better now because A, I found what I was looking for. B, I was able to kind of just thin that out. And C, it didn't take up all day. And now, if I want to go back and do another space, I can. So if you are somebody that is like, maybe you're not as like used to building that momentum. So of course it's going to be overwhelming to try to tackle an entire space at once. But whether you're doing in a drawer or a room or a bank of cabinets or, you know, in a closet or whatever that is, pick a very defined designated space and just start with that. When you say, I'm going to do something so broad, it's like saying, I've never run, but I'm going to all of a sudden just get up tomorrow and run a marathon. We just don't do that. It's just setting ourselves up for failure. And I don't want that to happen. Okay. Number 5 is setting up systems that match your lifestyle. I talk about this all the time. This is where so much of the work that we do around personality typologies, about neurodiversity, about habits, lifestyles, the season of life that you're in, all play a role in finding organizing systems that work for you. Because the system that works for one person with 3 kids under 5 is very different than the single 20-something-year-old who lives in a studio apartment in New York. Like, it's just, we're going to have different things. Our lives are in different stages. We have different thresholds, the volume of stuff we have. And so you cannot look at what somebody else is doing and necessarily apply it to you. Even if you're like, hey, I'm a mom with 3 kids and she's a mom with 3 kids. Guess what? You guys process information differently. Your kids process information differently. You have different like relationships with stuff, with clutter. And so your systems need to be unique for you. One thing that I can tell you across the board is it should be simple. If your organizing system is is more than 2 steps to get something done, and I'm just trying to think about that like in my head, and I'm just riffing at this point, it is going to be too complicated. If you are like, I have to take off my coat and put it over here and fold something up, or go upstairs and open the mail, blah, 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 forget it. It is not going to work. It has to be less than 3 steps, period, full stop. That's just I just made that up right here on the fly. If it's more than 3 steps, it's probably not gonna last. Figure out, are you somebody that likes to look at things? Are you a visual person? If that's the case, it doesn't mean your papers need to be spewed all over the counter. It just means maybe you put them in a clear bin so that you can see them. Or maybe you corral your stuff in a place that you're going to see it, not like in the back of a closet. Think about your habits. How can you create a system that supports what you're already doing? So many people struggle with creating a system because they try to go the complete opposite of what they've been doing. And I get it. If you're somebody that has notoriously been disorganized and you've like lived a life where you feel like you're always out of control and things are always chaotic, you want to maybe swing the pendulum the other way. And I commend you for that. But be mindful not to swing it so far that it makes it unachievable for you. Think about your life, think about what's realistic for you, and just make it practical and logical. And if you're not really sure, this is the time to like bring somebody else in, ask for somebody else's opinion. Because sometimes we're so far in it, we can't really see it through an objective lens. And also, we're seeing it through our lens, how we see the world. And it's especially if you're living with other people, you want to make sure that this is something that is sustainable and maintainable from the other people that live in your home. Okay, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back with the last 5. Okay, so we're back talking about organizing systems. Sorry, let's say it again. Okay, we're back talking about I'm ready to get organized. Now what? Okay, the next thing that you're going to do is to time block your organizing efforts. What do I mean for that? If you are sitting there and you are waiting for that, when I have a free weekend, guess what, people? You are never getting organized, because I don't know anybody that's just like, oh my gosh, like we just have free weekends. I mean, I shouldn't say never. That's a bit extreme. But I will say it wasn't until I became an empty nester that I was like, oh, wait, we actually maybe do have a free weekend. But even then, I could think of a million other things that I want to do. So carving out that time intentionally of what that looks like, of what we want to do, is the best way to approach getting organized, or decluttering, whatever that is. Just like when you're saying, I want to start feeling more healthy. Well, you're going to exercise on a routine basis. What are you going to do? You're going to put that on your calendar. You're going to make an appointment with yourself to do it. Organizing is no different. You need to make that appointment. You need to block your calendar to make that happen. You don't just coincidentally fall into it. It just doesn't work that way. Maybe once in a while, you're like, oh, yes, we could do this. But to do this on a routine basis, getting organized is something that is a discipline that you're going to want to repeat over and over again, which leads me into number 7, creating daily reset routines. That means at the end of each day, or at pockets of days, right? It doesn't have to be the end of the day, like 11 o'clock at night. It could be after each, like I have little kind of chunks. So in the morning, if I'm doing my morning routine, before I move on to like the next phase, I'm like, okay, is everything tidied up? What does that mean? It means, is the bed made? Did I, are, clothes in the hamper, all that kind of stuff, that we have done. Then if it's, okay, I'm downstairs, I'm having my coffee before the day starts. Did I tidy that up? What does that mean? Does that mean the dishwasher's unloaded? Does that mean that, the coffee mugs and, out of the sink, all the things. So that's a little tidy there. Then you have your work day. And maybe at the end of your work day, you're like, okay, we're going to, make sure my desk is clear. Or maybe you're at home with the kids and the kids go down for a nap and you're like, okay, so now I have this little tidy up. So I put the kids down for a nap and now I'm going to go sweep the toys and, make sure that. So instead of just having that reset once a day, have little mini resets throughout the day at different points when you go through transitions, as opposed to like, and then you have like another one at night, like after dinner, and then you have your bedtime one. So you're not leaving everything at just one point. And if you're somebody who's out of the office, or out of the home all day, you're at an office, I understand that you're not going to necessarily have that at home, but maybe you're going to have those mini resets at at where you are. And maybe that means I'm going to look at my calendar, I'm going to plan. So take those couple minutes every kind of chunk of your time, wherever you have like your those transition times in your day, to just or do a reset and a refocus. Okay. Number 8. Again, this is something that I've had to work long and hard over the years, guys. And that is asking for help and recognizing that asking for help is not a sign of weakness and it is not a sign of failure. So, whether you are asking for help from a friend, from a family member, from a professional, getting support where you need it is wise. Getting support, I mean, your house is not going to run itself. If you're looking to get organized and you are like, I'm a doctor and I'm on call for 12 hours a day, somebody needs to be cleaning the house. Somebody needs to be cooking meals. Somebody needs to be doing laundry. If it is not you, then who? So somebody needs to be doing it. And um, don't be afraid to outsource tasks. That is okay. And that is why jobs like mine as a professional organizer exist. That is why there are people that do meal prep. I have a friend of mine who is a partner in a law firm, and she's got a lot of personal things going on in her life, which I'm not going to talk about publicly, but she has somebody that does meal prep once a week for her, and they prep a bunch of food for her. Now, you might not be able to be in a position to hire a private chef to come in and cook meals for you, but guess what? There are companies like Factor or HelloFresh, and these are not paid ads. I'm just saying, there's so many different ways that you can get support and help from, you know, meal prep services and other things if you are struggling in a particular area. So ask for help, please. That is one thing. And if you're looking to get organized and maybe you're just like, hey, I need help getting started, I need the strategies and I don't have them. Like, that is something that is like legit. If you've never been taught how to do something, you can't be expected just to know how to do it. That's just not how life works. We have to learn, we have to be taught, we have to practice things. And that goes into my next one, which is letting go of perfection. We oftentimes have this image in our mind, this picture in our mind of what we expect our home to look like, or what we think it should look like, or what we have told ourselves other people are, holding us to this fake standard. And I always said being organized is more about how it makes you feel and less about the stuff, right? It's not about having this Pinterest perfect house. It's about knowing that you're walking in and you're not feeling overwhelmed, knowing in that you're not feeling stressed, knowing that you know where your stuff is, knowing that you don't feel that you don't have enough time in the day to get everything done. These are all the pillars of living an organized life. Being surrounded by chaos, feeling chaotic in your body, those are the things that are most important. I don't care about the bin or the basket. You might like that, but that's not going to cure you. That's not going to cure the stress and overwhelm. And so think about the functionality of how do I want my space to function? How do I want it to feel? Again, we're talking about progress over perfection. We want to just take little incremental steps, progress from where we are, right? And we want to try to improve on that. But this notion of perfection is, we have to kind of let that go out the window and just say, I want to just be able to enjoy my evening routine and not feel like I'm collapsing to bed at night only to repeat this crazy cycle again. What can I do to have more time in the morning, whatever that looks like? How can I free up some time on my weekend so that I could spend it with my kids or doing something that I love, as opposed to feeling like all I do is household chores? Those are the kinds of questions that you want to be asking. And finally, number 10 is, and this is probably what I think is, when we talk about all of these, is probably the most important, is about keeping the momentum going. Once you have decided that you are ready to get organized, that's the hard part. Now you have to keep it up. Now you need to say, I have a plan and I'm going to get up and I'm going to have the discipline to do it. I'm going to learn. If I don't know what to do, I'm going to learn this skill. I'm going to work with somebody that knows. I'm going to, listen to a podcast. If you're listening here, you're ready, like doing that work. What are the things? I'm going to surround myself with people. I'm going to join a Facebook group. I'm going to join our Clutter Clinic workshop series that's going to be coming up. I mean, shameless plug for that. Getting started on this, making that commitment is so, so important, right? Because I always tell people you need to have that buy-in first. You need to have the will to want to change, but staying organized is really the goal. It's not just about getting there, because it's not a it's not just a destination. Hold on. I almost made it. The goal isn't about getting organized. It's about staying organized. It's about living organized. And how do we do that? We need to do that by constant repetition and reminders and really encouragement from the people in our lives, in our communities. And if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't have that real life in-person community, I don't have that support system, join our Clutter Clinic series. There's a link below. We're kicking it off in April. It is going to be a 6-part series. We're doing it monthly, where we're going to meet. It's very, very low level commitment. It's an hour workshop on different topics. So each one is very, very bite-sized, very digestible. And you can pick and choose the areas. We're going to be talking about mindset. We're going to be talking about practical strategies. We're going to be talking about the pitfalls that people fall into, how to avoid them, what you can do to kind of navigate through each of those specific areas uniquely. Some of the strategies are going to be generic across the board. Other ones are going to be very nuanced for each of those unique spaces, but it's going to be a deep dive. And the best part is, unlike this podcast, which I love, it's very one-sided. Our Clutter Clinic is a 2-sided conversation. It's me presenting and then you being able to ask questions in real time. So if you want to be really engaged and part of the conversation, this is the opportunity for you. And so again, the link will be below, but all you have to do is visit our website, simplybeorganized.com/workshop. And it's going to take you right to the Clutter Clinic page. And I'm here for it. Anytime somebody says to me, I am ready to get organized, now what? That is so exciting to me, because I know that they have mentally made that commitment, that enough is enough and they are ready to make a change. And once you have made that commitment to yourself, I am here to help you, walk with you, to help you see that into a reality. So that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much. I will be back next week. And again, until then, I'm Lori Palau. Peace out.